A haven in the Hayfields, Montana Territory, August 1883. The sun beat down mercilessly on the hayfields as Rowan O'Connell tugged the reins, halting his creaking cart. He leapt down, spotting a figure collapsed in the brittle grass. A woman in a tattered blue dress, sweat-soaked and dust-covered. Kneeling beside her, his pulse quickened. Her face was flushed, lips parched, dark hair plastered to her neck. She looked like she'd been running from something, or to something, for days. Her dress was ripped, shoes mismatched, body frail. He pressed fingers to her neck. Her pulse was faint but steady. "Hey, you're safe," he murmured, brushing hair from her face. "I've got you." Her eyes fluttered open, startled, as she tried to rise. "Easy," Rowan said. "You fainted." Her breath was shallow, her gaze unfocused. "Where?" she rasped. "Near my land," he replied. "I was cutting hay. What's your name?" Her lips parted, soundless at first, then a whisper. "Nevada. Nevada Witt." He nodded, a strange tug in his chest. "All right, Nevada, let's get you water." He lifted her, light as a sparrow, and laid her on the hay in his cart. She sipped from his canteen, too weak to argue as he drove toward his homestead. Rowan's place was modest. A single room, a barn, a spring-fed trough. He carried Nevada inside, settling her on his cot. She was asleep before the blanket touched her. He checked on her hourly, and by nightfall she woke coughing. He helped her sit, offering water. "You're at my place," he said softly. "No one's gonna hurt you." Her eyes welled, but she turned away. By morning, Nevada was stronger, sipping broth with trembling hands. "I didn't mean to collapse," she said hoarsely. "Figured," Rowan replied, leaning against the table. "I was walking, looking for work, for my kids." Her voice cracked. "I have two, Della and Dean. Left them with a neighbor in Miles City. A man offered me a ride, said there was ranch work. He lied, took my bag, left me on the road." Rowan's jaw tightened. "Miles City's 20 miles east. You walked that?" She nodded. "Tried." He exhaled. "Your kid's still with the neighbor?" "I hope so," she whispered. He met her eyes. "We'll get them. Together." She stared, wary. "Why help me?" "Because someone should have, before you ended up in that field." Nevada rested that day, but by the next she was sweeping floors, peeling potatoes, moving cautiously, like safety was unfamiliar. Rowan watched her, noting her quiet resilience. She never asked for more than she needed. At night, he slept in the barn. On the 5th evening, she lingered by the door. "You don't owe me anything," she said. "You were hurting," Rowan replied. "That's enough." Her gaze softened, something breaking in her eyes. "I don't know what to do." He stepped closer. "Stay till you do?" She nodded, barely. The next morning, they hitched the cart and rode east. After a day and a half, they reached Miles City. At the neighbor's house, an older woman gasped, "Nevada! You're alive!" Nevada pushed past, calling, "Della! Dean!" Two children, a girl of 8, a boy of 6, ran to her, crashing into her arms. She sobbed, holding them tight. Rowan looked away, throat tight. The woman, Mrs. Harlow, stepped outside. "She said 3 days, it's been 2 weeks. She was abandoned," Rowan said. "Nearly died." Mrs. Harlow softened. "I fed them, but they belong with her." Rowan nodded. They're coming with me. I'll keep them safe. That night, Rowan made beds in the cart for the children, packed food, and they headed home. Nevada sat beside him, her hand near his. "You okay?" he asked. She glanced at her sleeping children, then at him. "I think so." They rode in silence, then she spoke, voice low. "Why do you help me, Rowan, really?" He met her gaze. "When I saw you in that field, I couldn't walk away." Her eyes held his, a spark of hope flickering. She reached for his hand. He took it, and she didn't let go. By late September, aspens glowed gold along the creek, cottonwoods whispering in the breeze. Rowan chopped firewood in the mornings while Nevada planted onions behind the shed, her hand steady in the soil. Della collected feathers, sewing them into dolls, while Dean shadowed Rowan, stacking kindling with quiet focus. The children asked little, sensing the unspoken bond growing between their mother and Rowan. One afternoon, Nevada stood in the doorway, a tin pail swinging from her wrist. "I want to build something," she said. "What kind?" Rowan asked, pausing his axe sharpening. "A chicken coop. Saw pullets for sale in Jordan. We could trade eggs come spring." He nodded. "I'll cut boards after the fence rail. Sketch it how you want." She tilted her head, sunlight catching the pail. "You trust me to plan it? It's your idea," he said. She walked off, braids swaying, and Rowan felt a quiet ache he couldn't name. That night, Nevada sketched the coop by firelight, the children asleep. "I don't want to be the woman who runs again," she said. "You're not," Rowan replied. She reached for him, and his arms folded around her, natural as breathing. They stood in the fire's glow, snow falling softly outside, blanketing the world in silence. Nevada spread coarse green wool across the table, running her thumb along its grain. "They'll outgrow these coats next winter," she said, measuring against Dean's back. "But they'll last the thaw." Rowan leaned in the doorway. "Need me to cut panels?" She smirked. "You're good with a saw, not shears." Dean stifled a laugh. "I'll prep the lining," Rowan offered. She nodded. "Tack it by evening." As the sun climbed, Nevada sewed. Della sorting buttons by color. Rowan hammered planks into the porch rail, pausing when Nevada spoke behind him. "Many winters this dry up here?" "Few," he said. "Last one cattleman in Rosebud lost half their herd." She stepped into the sunlight. "Ever think of raising stock?" "Thought about it," he said. "Don't like fencing what's meant to roam." She smiled faintly. "My father raised mules. Said they were smarter than men, twice as stubborn. I'd braid ribbons in their manes." Rowan chuckled. "You've got a way with stubborn creatures." Her eyes met his. "That include you?" "Maybe." That night, Nevada tended a limping hen, wrapping its leg with ash and lard while Rowan held it steady. "They said I had healer's hands," she murmured. "Who?" Rowan asked. "Old neighbor. Helped her birth a baby. He died a week later. Fever." She paused. "After that, I stopped helping. Thought I wasn't meant to fix things." Rowan met her gaze. "You've fixed more than you know." She held his eyes. "You let me stay. No questions, no debt. I keep thinking this is not a dream," he said, setting the hen aside and taking her hand. "It's us." She stepped into his arms, fingers curling at his neck. "I never wanted to lean on anyone," she whispered. "We're not leaning. We're standing." In the days that followed, Nevada finished the coats. Rowan carved bone buttons, kept the fire burning. When the last stitch was tied, Della twirled in her coat, Dean standing taller in his. Nevada watched from the doorway, arms wrapped around herself, not from cold, but from fullness. Rowan stood beside her, their shoulders brushing. "They're strong," he said. "They're home," she replied. As winter tightened its grip, the cabin stood firm, its walls a warm shield against the deepening snow. Inside, the children's laughter grew brighter, cutting through the quiet. Each night, Rowan and Nevada found each other in the stillness, their hands meeting with an ease born of trust. What had started as a fragile refuge amid dust and solitude had grown into something solid, something enduring. In the barn, just before dawn, the final calf arrived, slick and trembling in the dim light. Its mother's low moans filled the air as Rowan knelt beside the newborn, rubbing its flanks with burlap until its shivers stilled. When he stepped outside into the pale morning, Nevada was already at the pump, her shawl drawn tight, steam curling from the kettle she held. "You were out there a while," she said, passing him a tin mug of coffee. "New bull calf," Rowan answered, taking a sip. "Got strong legs. She'll pull through," Nevada said, her gaze drifting to the frost-dusted fields. "I saw you from the window. You're patient with them, never rushing. You can't force calm on an animal." Rowan nodded. "They need to feel it's their own." Nirvana's eyes met his, steady and searching. "You're the same with people." He paused, the weight of her words settling in. She reached out, her fingers brushing his sleeve. "No one's ever asked me what I want. Not truly." Rowan's chest tightened under his coat, but he waited, giving her space to speak. "I want to stay," she said. "Not just for the winter. I want to be here when the creek flows again, when the plum trees bloom. I want to watch Della sew her first dress, see Dean fix his own boots." "You're already here," Rowan said, her hand warm in his. "Then let's make it ours," she replied. They walked back to the cabin, the children still asleep, the fire needing kindling. The silence between them no longer carried doubt. It held the steady weight of a shared promise, like earth packed around a new root. Later that week, Rowan rode to Jordan with Dean, the boy bundled in a new coat. They returned with seed potatoes, 2 lambs, and a second-hand washboard Nevada had once mentioned but never brought up again. Della greeted them at the gate, hands dusted with flour. "Mama's baking," she said, grinning. "Won't tell us what." Inside, the air was thick with the scent of apple and nutmeg. Nevada stood at the stove, sleeves rolled up, her dress hem flecked with meal. She didn't look up as Rowan entered. "I was thinking we could eat outside tonight," she said. "The air's crisp, and I found that old quilt with the red stitching in the trunk." Rowan stepped close, his hands grazing her waist, voice low. "You planning something?" Nevada turned, her hands still warm from the oven. "I want this place to be more than a roof over us. I want it to be a start." That evening, they ate on the porch under lantern light, the quilt spread beneath them, the lambs bleating softly nearby. Della nestled against Nevada, her lips sticky with pie, while Dean slumped against Rowan's leg, half asleep. Rowan glanced at Nevada, her hair loose for the first time he could recall, a strand catching the curve of her cheek. "I never thought I'd have this," he said. "You built it," she replied. "You just didn't know I'd be part of it." Weeks later, a preacher from Miles City passed through, heading north. Rowan met him at the gate, Nevada beside him, her hand resting lightly on his arm. "We've got a quiet home," she said. "We want to keep it that way, but we'd like it done proper." The preacher nodded, his eyes kind. "I'll keep it simple, honest." In the clearing behind the barn, with snow melting in patches across the field, they stood together, just the four of them and the preacher. Dean held a ring Rowan had crafted from a flattened silver coin, and Ella wore a garland of dried sage and wintergrass. When the preacher asked if Rowan would take her, he said, "I already have, and I will every day." When he turned to Nevada, she looked up, her eyes clear. "You gave me a foundation. I give you all I am." They kissed, and for a moment the wind stilled, letting a single bird call echo from the bare branches. Years passed. The children grew. Dean mastering roof thatching and wheel mending, Della stitching her own clothes and teaching herself the fiddle. The plum trees bloomed each spring. Nevada's hands stayed busy, but she always found time to sit with Rowan on the porch as the sun sank low. He carved her a rocker adorned with vines and stars. She stitched his initials into his shirt hems. They spoke not of the past, but of the future, the fields they'd plant, the lands they'd raise, the life they'd build together. One evening, as twilight fell and the children tended the coop in the distance, Rowan took her hand. "Still glad you stayed?" Nevada leaned into him, her head on his shoulder. "Every day. This is the life I didn't know I could have until you made it real." He kissed her temple, breathing in the warmth of her hair. They sat there as the stars emerged, the porch creaking softly beneath them, the house behind them filled with a peace they'd earned and would never let go.